It's day 9 of Grotmas. Today, we have an Emperor's Children detachments to talk about. While it's not my main faction, I do actually own most of an Emperor's Children army. I haven't finished painting it, but that's neither here nor there. I'll get to it at one point, but this is tempting me to try and do more on it. But if, like this detachment rule, you would like to be sensational, go down below, hit the subscribe button, and like the video. Thanks for doing the buttons. The new detachment we'll be looking at today is Court of the Phoenician. This is a very Fulgrim-focused detachment, and his surrounding entourage, I suppose. And as reference, the detachment rule here is Sensational Performance. Emperor's Children units from your army have the following ability. Sensational Performance. Each time this unit is selected to fight, if this unit made a charge move this turn, it can use this ability. If it does, until the end of the phase, this unit cannot target a unit that it was within engagement range at the start of the turn, so no ongoing combats can use this. This unit cannot target a unit that was the target of another unit's charge or attack this phase, so no doubling up on this and multi-charging units at one thing to get this more than once. If you do this, the unit gains 1 strength and 1 armor penetration added to its characteristics. This is very in keeping and on brand with the army rule, and it's very focused on, each individual squad keeping to its own devices and bouncing around and hitting various different things. So to a degree, this may be better against armies with more units because there'll be more to bounce around and more ways to split up your attacks across various different units. That said, +1 strength and +1 AP is a powerful bonus. Pushing AP to 3 or 4 on some of the more elite units can be quite scary and make them quite good at killing large hulls, which is something Emperor's Children typically don't do very well. There's an additional bonus rule here, Master of the Pageant. Once per battle round, when you target a Fulgrim unit, because there's more than one of those I guess, from your army with the Sinuous Breach or Prideful Superiority stratagem, you can reduce the CP cost of that use of that stratagem by 1 CP. Important note here, you don't get both, it's one or the other per battle round. You could still use the other one for its full CP cost, but it's a nice discount if you do take Fulgrim. Our first enhancement here today is Tis the Phoenix, Emperor's Children model only. Each time a model in the bearer's unit makes a melee attack, you can ignore any or all modifiers to that attack's weapon skill characteristic and any or all modifiers to the hit roll and wound roll. It's a bit niche. I think if this also prevented your AP from being reduced, it'd be a lot better. But if this is cheap, you might still take it if you have 10 or 20 points spare. Enhancement number 2, Exalted Patron. Lord Exultant model only, add 1 to the move characteristic of the bearer. In the Declare Battle Formation step, the bearer can be attached to a Flawless Blades unit. There's some interesting ramifications here. Number 1, the 1 inch extra movement is just so that the Lord Exultant's move speed matches the Flawless Blades because they move a little faster, and attaching it to Flawless Blades will give the squad lethal hits, same as other things you attach them to, and the Flawless Blades conversely will give the Wounding on 3's effect to the Lord Exultant. I think this is a bit of an odd combination. I think realistically, if it was a 3-man of Flawless Blades, you're probably better off just making it a 6-man instead of adding this Lord Exultant. I think you just get more damage out of it if you do that. So it'll be interesting to see how many points this costs and how good it ends up actually being. Enhancement number 3, Soul Stain Made Manifest. They've done really well with some of the names here. Emperor's Children model only. At the start of the fight phase, you can select 1 enemy unit with an engagement range of the bearer. That unit must take a battle shot test, subtracting 1 from the result. Important note here is that Noise Marines do make battle shot tests worse for things that they shoot at, so this might be at -2. I don't remember if that buff stacks or not. It's a shame this doesn't trigger battle shots on everything that's in combat with you. It's only 1 unit, so it's not like an AoE effect or anything. But there's some nice ways to cancel out potentially some defensive stratagems if you use this at the right time against the right target. Our final enhancement is Spirit Sliver, Emperor's Children Demon Prince model only. Interesting thing there, I believe those are keywords, so the Emperor's Children Winged Demon Prince actually can't take this if I'm reading it correctly, because it doesn't have the Demon Prince keywords. It has the Demon Prince with Wings keyword, which is strange, but maybe it's just deliberate. Add 1 to the strength and attacks characteristic of the bearer's melee weapons. So when stacked with the detachment rule here, a Foot Demon Prince would be strength 10 with 6 attacks, if I'm correct. I stand corrected. 7 attacks. 7 attacks at strength 10, AP 4, damage 3. Quite strong. I'll note the datasheet is actually AP2, but because of the aura it gives itself plus this detachment rule, you're actually gaining 2 AP. So this is actually a very high AP weapon profile. That's quite interesting. And strength 10 is a big breakpoint for cracking into hulls and things like that. I think this enhancement section is a bit of a mixed bag. It will very much depend on their point costs when they come out. But there's some use cases here and there's things to mess around with, which is nice to see. I think the Demon Prince one is probably the most powerful of the bunch, but the others all do have use cases, which is nice. Our first stratagem for this attachment is Contemptuous Disregard. In your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase, one Emperor's Children unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets your unit, if the strength characteristic is higher than the toughness characteristic of your unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. This can make things quite durable. For Fulgrim in particular, this can make you -1 to hit and wound if you take the Primarch aura of -1 to hit. Or you could just use it to make some infantry slightly more durable or a winged Demon Prince more durable, which is also interesting. Stratagem number 2. Close Quarters Excruciation. 1 CP in your shooting phase. One Emperor's Children unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase. Until the end of the phase, each time an Emperor's Children model in your unit makes an attack that targets an eligible unit within 12 inches, improve the strength and armor penetration characteristics of that attack by 1. So essentially this is sort of replicating the detachment rule but for shooting. Very powerful on Noise Marines, in particular pushing the Blastmaster's big profile up to strength 11 is very big for cracking into toughness 10 targets, and for pushing the smaller guns to strength 6 and the varied frequency up to strength 7. The AP here is also very nice. It makes the single frequency of the Blastmaster AP3 ignores cover, which is quite scary, and the smaller profiles AP2 ignores cover, which again quite scary for infantry size things. Importantly, the range is 12 inches, which means if you bring in Noise Marines from reserves, you could quite easily do this just from reserves, fend a CP, destroy a thing. Pretty good. Stratagem number 3, Prideful Superiority. 2 CP, fight phase, one Emperor's Children unit from your army that has not been selected to fight this phase. Until the end of the phase, each time modeling your unit makes an attack that targets a character unit, you can reroll the hit roll, and you can reroll the wound roll. This is a very powerful effect. Obviously it is 2 CP, but it is one you will semi-frequently use if you run into the right target. Also worth noting, this is one of the stratagems listed for Fulgrim that gets discounted, so Fulgrim can do this for 1 CP, which makes him an absolute blender if you can get this to resolve. The one downside is this requires you to hit a character unit, so there's a bit of a shame that this can't be used against like monsters or vehicles. I think those would also be very good targets for this if they were listed, but unfortunately they're not, so just characters. 4th stratagem, Euphoric Inspiration. 1 CP in your charge phase, one Emperor's Children demon unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, you can reroll charge rolls for friendly Emperor's Children units within 6 inches of your unit. Demon units in the army, other than the allied ones, are things like Fulgrim. Almost all the vehicles, except the Land Raider and the Rhino, are demons. Well, that's just the Morlothian, right? No, there's the Helldrake. But this is situationally very powerful. There was a similar stratagem in the Subterranean Assault Tyranid detachment, and quite often when things group together to charge in, this can be very, very powerful. The weird thing about Emperor's Children with this is obviously that you probably want to charge different directions because of your limitations in the detachment and army rule. So the use cases of this will be a bit narrower, but with enough setup, this can be very powerful. I just listened to that clip of myself. Take a drink every time you heard me say very powerful. You'll be hammered in minutes. Stratagem number 5, Sinuous Breach. 1 CP, your movement phase or your charge phase. One Emperor's Children demon unit from your army that has not been selected to move or charge this phase. Until the end of the phase, if it makes a normal, advance, or charge move, it can move horizontally through terrain features. This is something that Fulgrim very much struggled with. Getting around or through buildings was a big struggle for him. So this is good for him. It'll be good for Morlothians, for the Demon Prince, the Winged Demon Prince. All of these units with large sizes that want to go through terrain instead of around them can now do so at massive speed. I think a hilarious application for this is you could use it on a Helldrake in hover mode and just fling it up to 26 inches towards your opponent deployment zone. I don't know if that's that competitive, but it's a big model to throw into your opponent's deployment zone. It might be good for like just gumming them up and being really annoying. So there may be a use case there. This is a funny idea. Again, importantly, this is one of these stratagems that Fulgrim can discount with the detachment rule bonus, so this can be free for Fulgrim. Our final stratagem is Catalytic Stimulus. When your opponent shoots, or just after an enemy is shot, you select one Emperor's Children unit that has lost one or more wounds from those attacks, and then you roll a d6 to make a stimulus move. Essentially, this is just a surge move. You can move into combat and tag things. This can be quite powerful on infantry. It's a bit less powerful on monsters and vehicles. The extra movement is nice, but moving into combat with monsters and vehicles, you can still be shot, so doing it with infantry is arguably better. A very powerful stratagem. You have to be close enough to get it off consistently because it's only a d6. It's not a d6 plus 2 surge or anything like that. But a useful stratagem to have and a nice reactive thing to do with your units to try and tag things in combat again. Overall, a solid suite of stratagems, a good suite of enhancements, and a quite powerful detachment rule means this may be an interesting competitor detachment to the likes of Coterie and Peerless Bladesman. Personally, I think this is slightly less powerful than Coterie overall. It might have some different matchup applications for teams formats, which is interesting. I think it's probably slightly more powerful than Peerless Bladesman. However, there's, again, slightly different niches here. This has a bit more shooting capability because of the strength and AP buff you can apply to Noise Marines, whereas the other's much more melee focused. And while I'm a little disappointed that this would be quite a restrictive way to make Fulgrim playable, it's nice that this might actually let him see some table play. I think previously he's really struggled to work in other detachments, so at the very least it's nice that he can move through walls here, albeit I kind of wish that was on his datasheet and they just pointed him for it instead. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Do you like this detachment? Do you think it fixes Fulgrim? Or do you think this is going to fall by the wayside and Coterie will remain the main way to play this army? And a shout out again to my patrons. Thanks again to Wee Inquisitor Skelly, and Anthony Cornish. Couldn't do it without you guys. And for the rest of you, remember to do the standard YouTube pleasantries, and I'll see you guys in the next video.